My Mr. Nice persona was keeping us disconnected at a heart level, and she didn't feel loved anymore. Every addiction eventually does that. So in our 19th year of marriage, when I was 49 years old, Deanna came to me and said, honey, we need help, or our marriage is not going to make it. I was a little surprised, but I knew what I needed to do. 60 seconds later, I was on the phone with a friend who could help us. I met with this man for 2 hours a week for 2 years and began a journey of changing and growing like I'd never experienced before. This journey had 4 stages. The first stage involved sharing my life story. Throughout my story, I was real about the times in my life when I had felt helpless, when I was a victim in some way. We began to look at events that kept reinforcing certain beliefs about life and relationships. This proverb described our conversations week after week. The purposes of a man's heart are deep waters, but a man of understanding draws them out. For the first time in my life, I took a serious look at the damage caused by my interpretation of events in my past. In the second stage, these 4 concentric circles symbolize my heart and soul, the sum total of my emotions, choices, my thinking, and my longings. The more I looked at these circles, the more I understood the self-protective way I'd been living. I discovered through hours of thinking and discussion that I'd been using Mr. Nice to keep people away from knowing who I really was, to keep even myself from knowing who I really was. I needed to repent in every area of my soul. In my emotions, I needed to own my choices to be timid, fearful, emotionally numb, and mostly out of touch. In my volition, it was helpful to list all the choices I could think of I'd ever made over my lifetime that I hadn't recognized as choices. Some of those choices were in the form of vows that I needed to break one by one. One of those choices I made was to trivialize choice by embracing a Christianity that emphasized externals and image. In the rational part of my soul, I found it helpful to list out the beliefs I had had over the years and to sort out the truth from the lies. Then I found it helpful to take a good look at my God-given longings to be loved with no conditions and to make a difference in my world. It was in this deepest part of my heart and soul that I'd made the big mistake of thinking that people liking me would satisfy me more than Jesus loving me. One of the most helpful things I learned during this time was how poorly I managed my power as a husband, as a dad, as a man. I was shown a list of manipulation tactics and told to list the tactics I was using in my relational style. I realized I was doing 11 of these all the time. I was especially good at sarcasm. But every manipulation tactic was another way of pushing people away from me. Learning this new information made me feel both relieved and exposed. Oh, this was ugly.